Information and Publicity Committee, Vice Chairperson, Madam Charity Banda on my right, our Committee Secretary, Bishop Jevan Kamanga, all the members of our committee. I can't see any senior part officials. Of course, I can see some behind there, Mr. Lungu and so on. I recognize your presence. But above all, I want to recognize the presence of all of you. This being a press briefing, you are the most important people at this function. The scope of our press briefing this morning reads as follows. PF joins the judiciary and Zambians in condemning UPND violence. Preamble. We have called this press briefing to add our voice to that of our judiciary in this country and to the voices of Zambians at home and abroad, including the international community, in condemning the barbaric and primitive behavior of the United Party for National Development, UPND, as exhibited in their violent conduct yesterday at the High Court of Zambia here in Osaka. Background. The UPND has made it their occupation to be moving from one court to another in search not of justice, but an electoral victory that they never end. However, it has dawned upon them that their gymnastics in our courts of law will yield nothing, because elections are won by receiving more votes than your opponent and not in the courts of law. This realization, which surprisingly has come late for them, has created notorious frustration and anger in them, starting with their top leader, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema himself, up to the list of their member, including their secret members spread across many sectors. Yesterday, as the public may know by now, there was an application before Judge Mwilachitabo, which was part of the ill-conceived election petition by the UPND. We have information from an impeccable source about correspondence to the parties to the matter, informing them that the application was going to be heard in chambers. In other words, the application that Judge Tabo was dealing with yesterday was in chambers. And the parties to the matter were informed that only lawyers, as per practice, were supposed to be in attendance, not to mention the parties to the same matter. But as usual, UPND cadres used violence to gain access to a small chamber of the judge so that they could monitor or witness the proceedings. The rest of the story is well known by Zambians now, that havoc ensued. We stand with the judiciary in condemning UPND violence. Our party stands with the judiciary in condemning the violence and the primitive behavior of the UPND. The barbaric act of violence we saw yesterday that has left the High Court buildings and other properties, including vehicles of innocent citizens, is a kind of assault on the judiciary never seen before in modern Zambia.
Shame.
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 This is a kind of act, an assault that has never been seen before in modern Zambia. As a matter of fact, this is an attack on the integrity of our country. It is an attack on all of us as Zambians. We are therefore consoled by the fact that many right-thinking Zambians and well-meaning people in our country have not hesitated to condemn the UPND in terms befitting this kind of Stone Age behavior. The violence was planned. Given the fact that the UPND leadership was aware that the matter yesterday was going to be heard in chambers, we believe that the UPND shameful violence yesterday was planned. As a matter of fact, the UPND has been planning many similar schemes of violence, and they've managed to elude law enforcers. As such, we are demanding that the police do more to curb this primitive behavior by the UPND, which is raising feelings of fear and insecurity among our people who love peace and tranquility. Failure of UPND leadership. If UPND leadership claims that the violence yesterday, which stands out as the first real threat and actual attack on our judiciary, was not planned, then they should admit failure of leadership in their party. As such, they should publicly admit that they can no longer control their violent cadres. And if the UPND leadership has failed to control their violent cadres, as evidenced by the kind of free-for-all violence that we saw yesterday at the High Court, then Zambians should make the logical conclusion that the UPND has lost the goal set out by its founding leader, late Anderson Kambela Mazoka, and is now gravitating towards the kind of dangerous misfits that should have no place in our political dispensation. Calling upon reasonable people in UPND to do the needful. We are asking Zambians to join us in calling upon reasonable people within UPND, including the family of the founding leader of this party, to rise to the occasion and stop this once vibrant opposition political party from becoming a kind of terror grouping. Zambia, being a multi-party dispensation, a multi-party democracy, needs a vibrant opposition to provide checks and balances and enhance government performance, not to mention serving as an alternative to government. We believe that reasonable and peace-loving people are there in UPND. We challenge them to break the silence and help this party abandon its violent ways. Conclusion. Call for stiffer punishment. We are calling upon the Zambia Police Service to demand laws that would provide stiffer punishment for this kind of violence UPND has been perpetrating in our country. It is common to hear their cadres boasting that they would riot and their leaders will pay admission of guilty fees for them and they would go home free as if nothing happened. This attitude by violent UPND cadres calls for stiffer punishment to deter them, so that our people can continue to enjoy the peace that they have gotten used to. Having said this, we wish to make it very clear that as a party, we stand with the judiciary. We stand with the people of Zambia. We stand with the international community in condemning this barbaric and primitive behavior, which has painted a very, very bad image of our country to the outside world.
Shame.
And has again added another block in terms of instilling fear in our people. You can imagine what could have happened if one Frank Bwalya, one Davis Mwila, one charity bander yesterday without knowing, strayed into the path of those cadres who were at a public institution, because we are all free to go to court, regardless of who is appearing before the court. Imagine what could have happened. I shudder to think what would have happened. The kind of impunity we saw yesterday has never been seen before. And UPND cannot claim that their cadres were responding or reacting to police brutality as they always claim. Their own members have circulated clips of videos taken, and we are seeing these things on social media, and it's clear that there was no provocation whatsoever from the police. The truth of the matter is that the matter was heard in chambers. If the judge decided that the lawyers were too many and decided to go into a courtroom, the matter was still before that judge to be heard in chambers. God bless our country. God help us to maintain peace, the kind of peace that has made other people run to Zambia in search of refuge, in search of peace. God bless all of us. I thank you all.